Is the stock market a problem for crypto? If so, is it a one-day problem or a two-day problem or a 1 month problem? We'll find out. Are people too bullish Ethereum or not bullish enough? We'll find out, and we'll look at the charts, so stay tuned for that. This is the Market Update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the charts and the news and the monologue works for you, make sure you hit the like button. Okay, what's wrong with the market? Let's start with over FOMO. So Coinbase is on Twitter today going, look how much Bitcoin we own. Okay. And then Mike Novogratz, my favorite guy from Galaxy Digital, recently changed his profile pic to an NFT 2 days ago. And I'm like, oh, Mike, this was the guy who got the Luna tattoo right before that all happened. Love you, Mike. But now Mike changed his profile pic to himself as an astronaut. New look, on-chain forever. Galaxy. Yes, Galaxy forever. But Mike, the astronaut CryptoPunk art, oh, yuck. Then add possibly, even though it's so near and dear to my heart, perhaps some ETHzilla FOMO and maybe too many people talking about 10,000. Maybe. And who knows? Maybe that's just for today. And I certainly hope so. Again, we'll go through the charts. You don't want to miss it. Willimeter with the super chat. Thank you. All right. Now, when you have a stock market problem, you could have a crypto problem. Again, is it 1 day, 5 days, or 30 days? We'll talk about it. I know we talked about it in the YouTube member area this morning on our sort of surprise podcast where me and ace analyst Toby Ward laid it all down for you, and we picked the small caps that you're going to want when this is over. Let's begin with Ray Dalio from Bridgewater, a giant, super sophisticated hedge fund. Now, Ray Dalio's written all kinds of books. He's written, how this the end of the world with government debt. Ray Dalio's a real grim guy. He's written self-help books. All right. Ray Dalio, a couple of days ago, switched gears and said you should have 15% of your portfolio in gold and Bitcoin. And I'm like, am I reading that right? Now, with Ray, and I've noticed, whenever he makes like market-based statements, something goes down within 4 days. I mean, I give Ray a hard time for being an apocalypse guy, but you got to show respect. You have to, especially when he's talking about getting long Bitcoin. So why did he shift? Well, there's two problems out there. And one of them we saw today. One of them is trouble in the Japanese government bond market. Essentially, they cannot raise interest rates without wrecking the U.S. stock market. It's called the yen carry trade, and it will give you a headache. And I want to give you great charts and a monologue, and I don't want to give you a headache. But there are major problems over there that have not hit headlines in the U.S. That's part one. Part two is you have ridiculously high bullish sentiment in stocks, right? Stocks where fear greed is 0 in April, and now it's at it's at the highest level since 2017. Everyone's invested. Everybody got squeezed out of their shorts. And Microsoft came out with gangbuster earnings, which I think the accounting is questionable, but it was gangbuster. And as usual, the algorithms saw that. They bid up stocks on the open. They gapped it up, and then they dropped it. It's called a key reversal. Now, it's a really ugly candlestick at the top of a really extended rally. We'll go through the chart. But needless to say, that's ugly if you get follow through. Now, if our friends in equities do what they always do, go, oh, look, a dip, I'm going to buy it. Okay, it's fine. But if it's not fine, and Dalio knows that whatever's going on in Japan could lead to heavy profit taking in U.S. equities. That could be an issue for altcoins for anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days. Now, as a reminder, crypto and Bitcoin did decouple from equities at the end of last quarter's, down move. So crypto did decouple from equities last quarter's down move. So do you have to freak out in crypto yet? I don't think so. Do you have to be aware of what's going on in equities? Most certainly. Because if equities get hammered tomorrow and all these people are in the pool, and it feels like to me the toaster is inbound, meaning they got trouble over there in terms of sentiment, positioning, and there is clearly a catalyst with overvaluation, massive FOMO into earnings, right? And this thing in Japan. I know nobody wants to talk about it, but the Bank of Japan is like really trying to keep it glued together over there, and it may not be working. Because after all, with crypto, even though everyone gives us a hard time, crypto's a really smart market. I mean, 5 days ago, this was like altcoins up 4 days in a row, alt season, 250 Solana, 6,000 Ethereum, LFG. Let's go. Right? And then all of a sudden, altcoins just turn around and cracked. And I've seen this before, and so have you, that altcoins are a super sensitive instrument. And sometimes they'll go out and go down ahead of any problems in legacy. Now, I don't want to make too much out of any one day because that's not smart either. And I know my ace analyst, Toby Ward, wants to shop on down days, and that may be appropriate today. We'll just take a look at the charts. It may be very appropriate, particularly if the decline today is a nothing burger in stocks. But if you're looking at the world and you're like, what is this? Too much FOMO in stocks, too much FOMO in crypto, at least in ETH. I never thought I would say that, but that may be the case. Okay. And you also have the Tornado Cash guy on trial. Like Roman Storm from Tornado Cash, which is an ETH mixer. So antivirus has similar functionality. You put ETH into Tornado Cash, and when the ETH comes out, there's no way to trace it. So if you'd like to keep your ETH position private, Tornado Cash is good, right? You don't want the whole world to know it's you and wind up on Arkham. Doesn't seem like a big deal to me, although, you can figure how not nice people would use it. So federal prosecutors in New York, made criminal charges against the guy that wrote the code, claiming he enabled or was complicit with, hackers who used his system. And his freedom is now in the hands of 12 jurors in New York. And who knows what they know about crypto. It's just like happening. So, I mean, it's like 4 articles here about, this is going to a jury. So this affects crypto. This affects privacy. Is it going to affect market direction? Maybe for antivirus it will. But I think it's something you need to know about, and it's something you need to think about, particularly when the market is down. Always know the reasons why the market is down, right? And what you're going to do when that happens, which is not get scared out of crypto. Now, something we did not cover yesterday that could possibly be interlinked with this Ray Dalio issue is JP Morgan has a alignment with Coinbase where it sounds like you can seamlessly go from your JP Morgan checking account right into a Coinbase wallet. Like, I don't even know if you have to set up a Coinbase account. It's almost like it feels like you can have crypto in your JP account. Wow. Okay. Now, why does Jamie Dimon, a longtime crypto hater, want everybody to cross over to Coinbase as seamlessly as possible? Maybe if there was a problem with the banks And instead of everybody going to the ATM and pulling out cash, they could just move over to Coinbase without panicking. At least that was my first thought, because Jamie Dimon is a huge, huge crypto hater. So if you kind of add all this up together, you know, they got problems in legacy. I know they do. They've had it the whole time. And one of the problems is they're just too bullish. And I think one of the reasons why Ethereum has benefited so much and may continue to benefit along with Bitcoin is because they got to allocate out of something. If they dump NVIDIA, if they dump Microsoft, I mean, I can't believe what the Microsoft chart looks like after this interesting earnings report. If they have to allocate out of stocks, they're going to allocate into crypto, and they should allocate out of stocks. You know, they have a theory where it's like, sell the winners, buy the losers. Right now, the loser, crypto is not a loser, but crypto is an underperforming asset relative to what all these other things are doing, like in terms of making all-time highs. So like ETH is a no-brainer versus tech stocks. And frankly, so is Bitcoin. And ironically, as we noted yesterday, general public interest in Bitcoin is at a low, right? Like, nobody cares about the Bitcoin ETF anymore. There's no search volume for Bitcoin. And you know what, folks? You have a little bit of problem with the stock market and everyone over in that pool. That just might change everyone's mind about Bitcoin. And even though there's a little bit too much FOMO in ETH, I think ETH maybe has limited downside, or maybe they push it down, you know, for a week. Not enough to shake people's view about where the ETH is going for the rest of this year. But I am making you aware of what's going on in Stonks today. Okay, so let's get busy. Yes, I will look at Tig and Toshi. I will do my best. Remember, the Eagle King is not here today. So I will do my best to keep the screen shared and acknowledge you guys as much as I can. This is Mike Novogratz. Really good looking picture. I'm a little jealous, right? Really good looking. But you know, not if you make a top with it. So Mike, love you, but stop it. Stop it. Okay, Nasdaq. Can you imagine this is what we have to put up with? Like, all coins at zero. The decentralized universe at zero, with the artificial super intelligence guys paying millions of dollars per person. Forget about the data centers. But the decentralized universe is, you know, abandoned. So here is your candlestick for today in Nasdaq. Right? So Microsoft earnings come out. So here's the close from yesterday. Up, we open up here. Oh my God. And we take it up, and then boom. Everyone takes profits at the end of the month, which, you know, is that really so bad? Not really. It's not. Right? You have a great month. You're long. You're one of those people who jumped in early, right? Like, I don't know, where were we at the start of the month? Yeah, we were over here, right? It's like late June, something like that. Yeah, it went vertical. You had a good month. See ya. Going to the beach. Not unreasonable. But that is a very grotesque candlestick. And the little triangles here were the Lux Algo sell signals, and you had a Lux Algo weakening momentum signal up here. So, yeah. It's like they kind of took it. They kind of took it a little bit too far. Don't you think? I do. They took it a little bit too far. Okay, now if we go over and we look at, okay, well, look, this is Microsoft. Okay, so earnings are great, right? Everything's fine, right? Gap and go, right? Right? Wait a minute. I don't think so. Because if you look over here, this guy named Dario is questioning their accounting without going into massive detail. He's like, hey, and this is actually across the board. Now, even if you don't believe that, the Bank of Japan offers government debt on the spot. Okay, what does that mean? All right, folks, this is a pretty big red flag. If these interventions are needed on a daily basis now, something serious is happening behind closed doors in Japan. Now, that would normally not be an issue, right? You're like, oh, okay. Because it's not new news. But if you put it together with this, you have to ask yourself, why did people make this candle, right? Why were they like, adios? That could be why. And this is the answer to why is crypto down. Now, hopefully all the Schwabies and all the E-Trade guys and all the Robinhood dudes come in and buy the dip tomorrow, right? NVIDIA, something similar, right? They gapped it up and they brought it back down again. And, you have very intense FOMO on Lux Algo, very intense. And you have a new high in price. And so far, you don't have a new high in momentum. As a matter of fact, as much as it pains me to say it, you also have something like this going on in ETH. And I really hope they come in tomorrow and this is not an issue and they just rise up and lift ETH up. So this issue where ETH has made new highs and the stochastics have made new lows and all this massive FOMO into ETH is not a problem. Hopefully it's not. Because if it is a problem, we can have more of this than I would have thought 2 days ago, right? The Ether Machine becomes the third largest Ether holder. Yikes. The ETHzilla, the Ether Machine. Like this, in some ways, this is as stupid as it was when ETH was at 1,400. Like, kind of ridiculous. So hopefully it's not a problem. But I do want to make you aware of what's going on in Stonks. And hopefully we're on the air tomorrow. And like, thank God it's not a problem. Because nobody ever remembers what's wrong. The only thing ever remembers is, wow, that was a great dip. Okay, so Solana, I went on and on and on and on about 180 on the monthly chart. So that's not happening. So Solana fails at 180 on a monthly close for like the umpteenth time. Solana is probably going to retest 169, which is this prior high, 168.50, something like that. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It isn't. But it's not what you wanted. It's not. I mean, what you really want in crypto is for equities to turn around and have everybody buy the dip tomorrow. Then I think if that happens, it's probably all clear in crypto. It's all clear. But if equities are a mess, we need to be aware of that because even though we love altcoins and we know they're suppressed, you just have to remember if they have a yen carry trade problem in Stonks or everybody just decides to sell at once, you need to be aware of what's going on because I'm sure you're looking at this screen. I looked at this screen today and I'm like, what is this? And then I saw the candlestick in Stonks. Okay, moving to live. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to cover this in Bitcoin. Okay. So anybody who says anything negative about Bitcoin is pretty much an idiot, right? Okay. So I really don't want to be the village idiot. I don't because, Ray just said buy gold and Bitcoin. that stands to reason Bitcoin is fine. Now, in the event that it's not fine, 107 could be a target. Now, 107 in Bitcoin, I think that's the new 77. Okay. That's the new 77. So, if it goes down there, and this is a very big live TA today, by the way, I am still trying to get to 200 likes. I love you guys. I know we got a lot of new viewers. I'm going to try to put a morning show in, but I'm trying to get to 200 likes. 200 likes, folks. Come on. Hit it for me. Hit it for Toby. Just hit it. Okay, let's look at DeMark. So everything was okay in Solana on the daily chart until it slipped below 177 and the next level is 157. I'm like, wah, that's not good. Now, what might be okay, and this speaks to what I was talking about earlier on the other chart, you do have a 13 and a 9 bottom on the 4-hour Solana chart, which means it should stop. 167 is a possible destination. However, I don't see a sign of this stopping right this second. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is way overdone, right? Now, the great news in Bitcoin is that there's support at 115. You had like this little 13 top signal going sideways, and then boom. Okay, again, stonks. XRP on a 4-hour chart, again on support. Really not interested in seeing it spend a lot of time below 3. But you never know what they're going to do. You never know what they're going to run stops. Again, Toby's like, hey, if it's down, shop. And I think she's right. Right? Again, is it a one-day thing in stonks or a 1-week thing in stonks? Maybe they'll come out for the new month and go, hey, buy it. Then you're like, hey, XRP at $3. I'll take it. Okay. ETH, not a lot happening, except you kind of went through to support here. Like you wicked below it, and I thought that was it. And now, okay. I keep thinking about ETHzilla. I want to love this. I want to love it. Okay. You were sort of close to a 13 top, but, I figured you had more room to punch through 4,000 before it was going to be an issue. Okay, let's check another DeMark number system. Okay. So, yeah, ETH was kind of close to a top-ish. Didn't think it was a big deal. Okay, so here's that other form of DeMark math. So DeMark has like 4 different ways of calculating these numbers. This isn't the one I looked at, but there is a 13 top in ETH. And when you have a down move like this, you have to respect it. I don't want to respect it. I want to be like, yeah, let's go, because that's what it should be. Because what's going on in equities is crazy. And I would not be shocked if the decoupling, like last time, the decoupling, we didn't decouple until equities were way lower. I wouldn't be surprised if equities cascaded lower, and every time equities close, crypto comes back. I would not be shocked to see that later in the month, or even after the full moon on the 10th. I really liked some of my GAN work for this month. So again, I hope the thing in stonks is one day, but I do have to acknowledge what's going on the chart. Because if this all goes on, like I know if equities follow through on that reversal, that's a huge problem. You're literally praying. You are literally praying to the higher power of your understanding that whatever goes on in stonks doesn't continue tomorrow. You want to hope that the Fed or somebody comes in and puts a floor underneath equities, then crypto will be okay. It'll be okay. All right. Let's go to a 90-minute chart, just like fully dissect crypto. By the way, if you like live TA and the monologue, because I'm doing this new style, right, after this guy who I watched late at night, trying to like do more monologuing with live TA. So if you like that, feel free to comment down below. Okay, so XRP on a 90-minute chart, close to a tactical bottom. That's, 90 minutes is what I call tactical. So, like I said, if there's no follow-through in stonks, crypto might be okay. Okay, if we go to Solana on a tactical chart, okay, there's your 9 bottom. Okay, so again, in Solana, with a 9 bottom, so you want to see it turn around and just go, back up, gradually. What you don't want to see is a failed rally. You don't want to see, and then boom. That's bad. But, these big cryptos are at an inflection point that if we get cooperation from equities, it's fine. It is a reversal. And again, here it is. They're all the same, right? Here's ETH. right? And I bet you have it in, you might have it in Bitcoin too. Okay, you don't have it in Bitcoin. Wow, that's kind of grotesque. That's kind of ugly, right? Okay, so Ray Dalio wants to be long. He wants to be long Bitcoin for a reason. Okay, but again, you know, we went from ETH going to 0 to now it's Ethereum 2035, which is a good way to think, because that's the way, you know, Toby thinks and the way we think in the YouTube member area, you know, where, you know, we're by no means bearish. This is Toby in her black hoodie imitating that guy who says, yes, stupid, buy altcoin. So we didn't call our customers stupid. We said, hey, you buy altcoins, and we had a plan, right? Find what's down. Well, actually, I can't tell you the secret formula. If you want the secret formula, you have to be a member. And you really should be a member, because guess what? When this thing turns around, let's talk about the big picture. When people figure out that they should not be in stonks and they should be in crypto, is crypto going to be higher or lower than it is now? Like, will the normies buy Bitcoin? I don't know, at 107? I can't believe it's going to get down there. But would the normies buy it at 107? Or are the normies going to pay 125 with equities flat or going lower? Because that could happen. Again, Ray Dalio, it's like, hey, you know, it's one thing to say, I want to put 2% in Bitcoin. That's a standard equity style allocation. If you want 15% in gold and Bitcoin, something is wrong. And how long is it going to take for normies to figure that out? I don't know. They're probably going to have to experience some substantial losses in stocks while looking over at Bitcoin and ETH going, wow, that's not only not down as much, but it could be up. But the game is over in stocks. Okay, let's go to the DeMark work. And just, again, this is all live TA. So again, if you like live TA, the like button is within your reach. So, you know, feel free to hit it. Okay. So here's Stonks, 90-minute chart, 13 top, gap up, boom. Maybe it's over. Maybe they buy the dip. I mean, could it look any more grotesque, right? You have a 13 top. This is SPY. So it's S&P ETF, right? 13 top, 9 top, emotional rush up to the blow off top high. Boom. They opened up here and slammed it. You guys having fun over there? It's like, what are they doing? And here it is again. Look at this, the monthly chart. So here's the 13 top. And I don't know, we had to do some la-di-da. The 13 top was actually in November of 2024. This is monthly. So, of course, they had to take it up to the blow-off top point because, you know, after they all got short here, they all got squeezed, like singing like a bird. So they got everybody out, all the motorized, mechanized trading firms, CTAs, how to get long. Zero hedge is filled with guys throwing in the towel. I can't take it anymore. They took it up vertical in my face. And you got to remember something. The low here was 480 with everyone calling for a recession. And then it went to 638. Ouch. And ironically, so this is ridiculous is what I'm saying. This is just stupid. It's been stupid for a while. Now, is it going to affect crypto? Yeah, maybe in the short term. But eventually everyone goes, oh, wait a minute. This is dumb. I hope it's tomorrow. I hope it's tomorrow. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, here's the daily chart of QQQ. Oh, God, again. I mean, you know, here's the 13 top. You gap up. Like this was the close. The close was at 567. The open was 574, and they closed it almost below this low. So that's a bullish engulfing pattern that engulfs 1, 2, 3 days. The more days it engulfs, the stronger the signal. Now, hopefully it's like this, where they gapped it up, they brought it down, they gapped it down and scared everybody, and then it comes back. That would be giga bullish for crypto if that happened. But, you do have to be mindful of this because, again, Dalio and what's going on in Japan, it is for real. Now, speaking of for real, and again, this goes back to Powell. We did talk some about Powell yesterday. Maybe worth talking about it again. So Wall Street is getting hosed across the board now. So first they all thought it was a recession. Now they all got short the dollar. So they were, forced to buy stocks at the high, squeezed out of their dollar shorts. That's called a P&L destruction environment. When that happens, just so you know, in legacy, when that kind of stuff happens, computer models beep and they just start selling everything. Which, again, it's like, I don't know. It's like being at a bar and you're standing at the bar and the guy next to you pukes on you. Or he pukes and it gets splashed on you. You didn't puke, but it's like, ugh. That's what they got going on over there. This rising dollar versus the yen. Yeah, that's no good, right? Do you remember this? You remember this? This was, all right, let me put this up here. Let me see if this will work. Nope, it didn't work. Wait. So if you remember, you had a lot of grown men getting upset about this, right? Nope, that didn't work either. Okay. My point is, a rising dollar is negative for crypto. It's just negative for crypto, right? So you need to be mindful of these things, particularly DXY. That's my point. They're getting squeezed out of this because they're short. And if they start taking heat on the dollar and on Stonks, that can lead to an upset stomach. Okay. Now, the great news is crypto equities did pretty good today. Hut Mining was up 7%. So they actually bought the dip in crypto stocks, and MicroStrategy was green today. Again, they're all short that stuff. So the problem, the problem is not us. It's them. It really is. Okay. So if we look at total crypto market cap, right. Thought it was so bullish breaking out of this formation. And I so hope today was just the final puke where everybody took profits or got out of their bad trades. Right. That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping for. Okay. Let's see who's here. We have I'm Not Bruce or Cliff. Welcome, sir. Bull Runner. Let's go Spartans. I'm Not Bruce or Cliff. VP, Your Bass Hurts. Daniel J. Crypto Scam. Welcome. Right? Okay. Your Bass says TA first, then the monologue. Okay. Well, think about it. Got to make it. The only reason I do it is people love to stay for the TA. Even if they don't like the monologue, if they get the TA too soon, they leave. But we'll see. We'll see. We're experimenting with all kinds of new stuff. Joseph Green says, things are looking scary. Dude, that Nasdaq chart, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God. Nothing in crypto to me is scary. mean, the ETH chart, the FOMO, the Novogratz NFT, this cringe, but not what happened at the bar. You know what I'm saying? Ocho is here. Huckleberry native. What's happening? Ocho says we are blanked. Okay. Daniel J got puked on once too. Yes. Okay. Rachlet, welcome. Members, Huckleberry native, your Bass, welcome. Cisco, love it. Welcome all our members. Okay, people, don't forget, and we will be hammering away. We did 6th Street Crypto last night, basically talking about Dalio. Right? Really talking about how constructive that is for crypto right before the Microsoft sell every fact thing in equities. But we will be covering this at length. There will be new reports coming in the platinum area because you know what? As Toby would say, dude, if they're hitting crypto over stocks, whether that's 1 day, 3 days, or a week, regardless of how long it takes, honestly, even if your P&L is gross, you know it's the right thing to buy crypto. 1, because Toby said so, and 2, because it just makes sense. Right? It just makes sense. There's too many people over there and too much. Like I said, the bullish sentiment in equities is mind-boggling. It's almost like they're having a 2017 moment. In fact, they are. Right? Bullish sentiment at Schwab is as high as it's been since 2017. Since the whole FOMO thing was going on over there with Bitcoin doing like a 5x. No one is interested in Bitcoin. No one, not the general public, not the ETF. Everybody's asleep. Yes, they're looking at ETH and we love that. But the fact that no one is interested in Bitcoin at the retail level, that means, that means that when Bitcoin turns, it's going to turn massively because you're going to have Michael Saylor going, oh, I'm going to take more of this. I have a Michael Saylor headline in here somewhere. I'm not going to slow the roll down. But every time Michael Saylor comes in and goes, yeah, man, I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. Now, just another final word on the Fed. There is no reason for an economics-based person to think that rates should be below the rate of inflation. The Fed funds rate should be slightly above the rate of inflation. Now, let's forget about whether we like Jerome Powell or not and whether he cares about you or not. Let's forget about that for a moment. Now, one thing that's been going on in equities is they've been drinking some serious Kool-Aid about rate cuts. Like they thought at the beginning of the year they were going to get a rate cut at every single meeting this year. That's what they thought in January. Okay, so I don't think they're getting a rate cut in September, and I think the only way you're getting a rate cut in October is that you have a complete mess. I mean, he let equities go down 20% and didn't budge. So what would have to happen to get him to do something? Something pretty serious. So we don't care about that. We don't care about that. The more the Orange Man and Trump go back and forth fighting each other, the more it looks like a banana republic and the better it is for crypto. But they got to get real in equities. So my final word is we hope they buy the dip in Stonks tomorrow. If they do, crypto can resume what I hope is going to be a positive and stable August. If you want to know what the real forecast is for the rest of the year, Toby Ward has that in the YouTube member area. Okay, that is it for the market update. We will see you tomorrow.